Welcome to Memorial Cooking Innovations. I'm Tim Scallon, registered dietitian and nutritionist, and joining me today is our resident chef and food expert, Mike Hodgkin.
Hey, Tim, it's great to be back.
Well, we're always glad to have you, Mike, because you always, every time you're on the show, you teach us something new. And I'm excited about this show because you've got a real interesting recipe you're going to show us today.
Well, Tim, the great thing about this recipe is it's fun. It's a recipe that you can put things in, take things out, make it to your own taste, make to other people's taste. It's just so much fun because you don't have to worry about any chemical reactions or chemical balances.
Okay.
It's all according to your taste.
Well, and by that, I'm gathering that you're telling me you like to be creative and to use your artistic license.
Oh, definitely. It makes it more you. It's just fun. It's the whole big thing of cooking is trying new things, trying new reactions to things. It's great.
Well, tell our viewers what this recipe is, and
Okay.
just give us an overview. What is this recipe?
Okay, this is basically a penny Fantastica is the name of the recipe. It's was originally basically a vegetarian dish.
Okay.
But it's kind of boring as a vegetarian dish, And so we had this one in particular has chicken into it, which makes it great.
Okay.
But I've got a couple of little tricks I want to do to give it a little bit more flavor.
Okay.
And as we go, I'll add and subtract things and try to give suggestions because it is just, again, a fun recipe.
Ooh, that sounds good. Well, what do you say we get started?
Okay, let's get started. First, we're going to take this chicken. I marinated it a few hours ago with salt, pepper, oil, and we're going to julienne this up.
Okay, so these are like boneless chicken breasts.
Yes, boneless chicken breasts.
And they're skinless. Now, you use the term julienne, and just, this is a French culinary term that originally was first published in a French cookbook in 1722. But now, Mike, what does julienne mean, though?
Well, julienne the actual word is thin strips.
Okay.
And the common size they refer to is 2 inch by, say, a 1/4 inch.
Okay.
2 inches long, 1/4 inch wide.
And that's what you're doing. You're
Yeah,
making
pretty
those about
much.
1/4 inch in width.
Right.
Okay.
And it depends, too, on the time it takes to blend everything together. You want to keep all the cooking times together. That's
Okay.
why they came up with these different cuts so that you can time everything. And in this dish, it's very important to have everything together coming out at the same time.
Okay, and so you have several different ingredients, and they all don't cook at the same. Some take
Right.
longer to cook than others.
Right.
And
Right.
so that's why it's important. The timing is important in this dish.
Right, it's very important. And in fact, this is one of the key examples of what the French call mise en place.
Okay.
Mise en place means a place for everything and everything in its place.
Okay, that's another French culinary term.
Right, and that way everything will be ready when we go, so when the pasta is done, we can throw it in and everything will come out at the same time.
Okay, because if you have the pasta done and then something else isn't done, then you got to wait on it to cook, and then the pasta gets overcooked.
Right.
And then we have mushy penne.
Yep, you got mushy penne.
And nobody wants mushy penne.
That's right.
Pasta is a very nutritious food containing all the nutrients we get from grains, including vitamins like folate and niacin, minerals such as iron, selenium, and manganese, carbohydrate, protein, and fiber. It's low in sodium, and it is a cholesterol-free food. Follow one basic rule when cooking pasta. Don't overcook it. Start with boiling water, add the pasta, stir to separate, and then cook for exactly the number of minutes specified on the package for that pasta. Different sizes and shapes require different cooking times. When your timer goes off, have your colander ready and drain the pasta to stop it from cooking. Some even suggest running cold water over it to ensure that the pasta is not overcooked. So, what's the big deal about overcooking pasta? Well, from a culinary standpoint, mushy pasta just isn't as appetizing. Good pasta is served al dente, an Italian term that roughly translates into firm to the bite. Molto al dente, or more firm, is the culinary term for slightly undercooked pasta. Well, one would undercook pasta if it were to be used in a recipe where it would be cooked twice, such as including the cooked pasta in a sauté or a soup, like in today's recipe. There's also a nutritional benefit to al dente pasta. The glycemic index of a food refers to how fast that food is digested and converted into blood sugar. The faster a food is digested, the more rapid the rise in blood sugar. Overcooked pasta has a high glycemic index, which raises blood sugar faster, while pasta that is cooked al dente has a lower glycemic index. The variety of pasta dishes is endless. Cook different sizes and shapes to add to sautés, salads, soups, or serve them with a variety of sauces. Whatever your tastes, don't get stuck in the spaghetti rut. Look for different pastas, read the suggested recipes typically on the package, and enjoy the adventure of creative cooking. Bringing new dishes to the table will provide yet another reason for the kids to come home for dinner.
Okay, Tim, now I'm going to change cutting boards because after cutting the chicken, I don't want to have the cross-contamination into the vegetables.
Okay, and you know that's a basic kitchen point that you follow all the time because you're feeding the public.
Well, as you notice too, we have different colored cutting boards. We have green for produce, white is all-purpose, and red is for raw meats.
And that's basically a sanitation rule for you.
That way one cook won't grab one by mistake and he'll know that that was previously red meat and make sure it's sanitized.
And if I was cooking at home, I need to have a similar setup. Like for example, I may not have a red and green cutting board, but if I've got a cutting board that I'm going to cut meat on, I might wash him good or put him in the dishwasher and then use a different cutting board for the vegetables. Huh?
Yes, yeah, you really should because you got to sanitize it out right.
Yeah.
And most of the time you're going to cook the meat enough.
Yeah.
But if you're especially in a stir fry, the vegetables are just barely going to be cooked.
Yes.
So you won't be able to cook any bacteria out of it. So
it'd be terrible to have this wonderful dinner party and the next day everybody's sick.
Oh yeah, yeah, and then
they may not come back.
That's right. And then if you're in a restaurant, not only will they not come back, but you're going to lose a little bit of money because everybody's going to sue you. So it makes it a little bit rough.
Well, okay. So see how thinly he's chopping these vegetables. And Mike, would you say that the shape of these ingredients is important in this dish?
Oh, there's a lot of ways. One, it determines how long you want to cook them, but also it determines how pretty the dish is going to be.
Yeah.
Because you want to see them.
Yeah.
And that brings up the second dish here. The second item is onion. Okay. In your recipe, you brought up a great point that onion can overpower the dish.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like onion, so it doesn't bother me too much.
Yeah.
But the red onion gives it great color.
Yes.
So I'm just going to add just a little bit here.
So even though in this recipe that we did, the recipe actually doesn't call for onion.
No, but
you're using it because you're taking an artistic license there.
Yes, that's right. I think it's pretty. I love onion and love garlic.
Yeah,
and
me too.
My pesto is a little stronger in garlic anyway, so it kind of balances out.
Well, and that's a good point. You know, we're always talking about balance in nutrition, but also in culinary, and and so if some pestos are actually a very mild sauce, compared to like an Alfredo, for example.
Right.
And so if it was mild, maybe that would be a reason not to use an onion.
Right. Yeah. And like we said at the beginning, this is a fun time thing. So you make it the way you like it.
Yeah.
I can eat onion raw, like an apple. So it's
well. See, I'm like you.
I
like onion in just about everything.
Yeah.
And onion, garlic. These are bold flavors, and to me, those two just go together.
Yep.
Now, what are you cutting up right here?
These are sun-dried tomatoes.
Okay.
And you got to be very, very careful. They're tough.
Yeah.
And they slippery, well, a little bit slippery, and you can give yourself a manicure real easily.
Yeah, and so you want a good sharp knife.
Real sharp knife. Pay attention to what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you talk, stop,
Yeah.
look out.
Notice what he's doing. See, he's
Makes a
teaching
difference.
us. He's teaching us. That's right.
Because these things, they have to be held tight. You can't
Yeah.
go too. You got to keep your fingers are going to be very close to the blade, no
Yeah.
matter what you do.
Okay.
So.
And the main thing is just keeping them out of the way.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And one of the things too. Now, again, because of the type of vegetable
That wasn't
we're
a
using-
fingernail right there, was it?
Oh no, no,
Oh,
I got them
good,
all.
good,
Yep. On the spinach, again, your recipe calls for julienne. Spinach is so delicate; it
Yes.
dissipates. Boom.
Yes.
And you'll lose it in the noodles. You won't
Okay,
even
yeah,
see it.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I like to leave it whole and
Okay.
just throw it in at the very last.
Okay.
Doom, and then be done with it.
So you're not going to julienne this. So that's a
Yeah.
good tip. So if you all make this recipe at home,
Yeah.
remember Mike's tip on that.
Yeah.
You know, that makes me think of the tip when you did the bean soup. Remember when
Right.
you did?
See, that's a good example because it cooks so long.
Yeah.
You've got to really pay attention because the things will dissipate, like cabbage.
Now-
Put cabbage in, you want it to dissipate, so you put that in first to get rid of it.
Well, and if you haven't seen the show on Senate bean soup, you need to go back and look at that. If you go on the Memorial website, you can get all of our past recipes, watch past shows, and you know you had your secret ingredient for that Senate bean soup. And when he told me what it was, it's shredded cabbage and bean soup, but that really adds flavor.
Oh, it adds to the body of the liquid. It really
Yeah.
It's almost a thickening agent, and it just adds so much more to the body. To the liquid.
It's a bold flavor that's underneath.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you don't even know it's there.
You don't
but
even want to
it's-
see it.
But
So you do that to your, so you cook it to your advantage and
it's
cut
like
it to your advantage.
it's like that artist that's painting in different layers, and
Yeah.
some of the underneath layers come through the upper layers.
Right.
And that's that cabbage in that dish.
That's a good example. Very good
Yeah,
example.
Yeah. So you got to watch these shows where Mike's teaching us because you've got some really good tips on that.
Well,
so
been
don't
around a
julienne
while.
that spinach.
Right. I prefer not to because again
Okay.
you lose it. I
Okay.
like to see
Okay.
see the ingredients. To save some time, I already pre-made my pesto.
Okay.
There's only 6 major ingredients. You got basil, parsley, olive oil, a form of nuts, and
Okay.
Parmesan cheese.
Okay.
And you can always buy these. You know, you can buy a decent pesto in the store.
Well, yeah.
Right.
In fact, I was looking before the show. When last time I was in the grocery store,
Right.
and this is a good pesto.
Right. Right.
But
But
now,
it's not fresh.
yeah, and that's the difference.
Right. The biggest that, and if you notice on the bottle, which I know you have,
Yeah.
the salt content. There's no salt in mine, except what happens to be in the cheese.
Well, and you know, since you pointed that out, in a quarter cup of this, okay, now that's a pretty healthy serving for a
Right,
sauce,
yeah,
actually,
yeah.
quarter cup. But still, there's 600 milligrams of sodium.
Mm-hmm.
There'd be 20 in that.
Right. Right. And so it's all. And
But the main thing is,
it's all fresh.
yeah, and as we learn over and over on this show, the flavors in the freshness.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just smell that.
It smells
Doesn't that
wonderful.
smell wonderful?
Yeah. Well, you know, you mentioned 6 ingredients, and
Yeah.
did you know that 5 of those ingredients have health benefits?
Yeah.
You know, the olive oil is heart healthy.
Right.
All nuts are healthy. You mentioned you could use any nuts. Now, traditionally,
It's pine nuts.
yeah, you'd use pine nuts.
But they usually, in a kitchen, like a kitchen our size, we probably have 4 or 5 kinds of nuts around, but none of
Yeah.
them have been the pine nuts.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I use almonds. To me, almonds work wonderful.
Well, and when I'm looking in the grocery store, pine nuts are real expensive, and so it's kind of nice
That's
to
why
make
we
it.
don't have them.
Well, but also, you know, if you've got a special occasion, it's
Right.
nice to use the traditional pine nuts in a dish,
Right.
just because you want to taste what the traditional recipe was. But you could use any nuts then.
Right, right. And one little trick too is he talks about chopping them up. Blender does wonderful. You
Yeah.
can make this in 60 seconds with a blender.
Okay.
Just put it in and just put all the ingredients, put the oil in, and it'll zip. gone.
In fact, in a lot of restaurants, that's what they do.
Yes,
They,
that's what we do.
They don't chop.
Yeah, well, it's
Yeah.
too much. I mean, we'll go through this in one meal. I
Yeah.
mean, it's,
Yeah.
it's just the volume of it.
Well, and like parsley is in, I believe, is in this
Yes.
recipe,
Yeah.
and basil, and both of those are dark green substances. The parsley has antioxidants that are anti-cancer
Right.
substances.
Right.
So unlike some sauces, pesto is a healthy sauce.
Very, very.
Yeah.
In fact, I really didn't know that until you brought it up at this segment.
Yeah, yeah. Like if I were going to compare a pesto with an Alfredo sauce,
Oh, yeah.
see, Alfredo's got
It's
heavy
hot attack
cream.
on a stick, yeah.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. And this tastes good. I mean, this is
Right.
fresh and delicious.
Fresh, yeah.
So it's one of those sauces that we can say that's a healthy sauce.
Right. The pasta's ready. I've cooked it just a little bit underdone.
Okay, so you cooked it molto al dente.
Yes, that's right.
Okay,
That's right.
so molto al dente, that means extra firm. Al dente is firm.
Right.
Molto al
Right.
dente. So you were right. You wanted it to be
A little
more
bit
firm.
under, because we're going to continue to cook it when we put everything together.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons I also, while that was cooking, I started the chicken cooking.
Okay.
Because the chicken would take 10 to 15 minutes, and
Yeah.
I wanted
So-
to get that going. And once we start having everything ready to go, you
Okay.
could have everything cut, ready to go. So when the chicken's ready, we can start throwing it
you
together.
then you start your saute.
Right.
Okay. Okay. And so you're now you basically seasoned this chicken with a little olive oil, salt and pepper. Is that it?
Yep, that's about it. Because
Okay.
you got so much seasoning in the pesto, you really don't need any. You want that to come through.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then so once you have your chicken going,
Right.
you got it the way you want it.
Yep.
Then what's going to be the next ingredient to go in?
Well, you
there?
go according to the I'm not sure what the term, the toughness of the vegetable.
Yeah. Okay.
So I like to do the dried tomatoes first.
Okay.
Only because you want them to soak up the oil and soften.
Gotcha.
And that's
okay.
and you can't hurt them by overcooking.
Okay, because they're
So,
dried.
They're dry.
Okay.
Yeah.
And really, they're a little leathery
Yeah.
in the dry
I mean, you
state.
can chew them as they are now, but
Yeah.
in a pesto, you want them cooked a little bit.
Okay.
And then the peppers.
Okay, so peppers next. Now, if you were doing fresh tomatoes, you'd add them not first but last, huh?
It depends if you peel them first.
Oh,
If you
okay.
peel them, then you want them towards the end. But if
Okay.
you have the peeling on, you can put them in right
You
now.
want to soften that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Now I'm just going to put a touch of onion in just for
Yeah.
color.
Yeah. Okay. This is really, and it's starting to smell. Can you smell that out there? I mean, I'm smelling this. This is really smelling wonderful. Now you're going to save your pesto for last.
Oh yeah, the pesto has to go last.
Okay.
Now what are my secret ingredient? Well, for one,
You have
but just-
another secret
Well,
ingredient?
we're going to put a little bit of cayenne pepper in.
Okay,
just
just
a touch.
Some
Whoop.
zip.
Yeah, just to get not too much. But again, if you're going to use a spicy meat,
Yes.
say like Italian sausage would
Yeah.
be wonderful in this.
Yeah.
Then you
But
want
we
it
wouldn't want
less.
to use Italian sausage
Yeah.
on Memorial Cooking Innovations.
That's right. Yeah. But I'm going to sneak in a little pepperoni.
But you are going to put pepperoni. Well, now that's
Yeah.
not as bad as Italian sausage.
Right.
It's a little drier.
And some people, they just don't realize the flavor that pepperoni can give in a cooked dish.
Well, and even though we normally, the dietitian in me is always teaching us to shear away from salty meats. This would be a cured meat. But this is an example of, here goes
This
the
is
garlic.
just a little bit of garlic.
Yeah,
Just a
gotta
little
have
bit.
that in there.
Maybe a half a teaspoon.
But this is an example, and you've seen us do this before on Memorial Cooking Innovations, where if you use, you can use small amounts of salty foods or high-fat foods, for example, if in the dish, in the overall per serving, it still fits our health guidelines.
Right.
So actually, you're actually making this dish a little more authentic by adding that pepperoni, huh?
Well, it could be. I know it's making a little better for me.
Tastes better, huh?
Yeah, it tastes better.
I just can't put that in Kathy's
No.
dish.
But that's the wonderful thing about this dish.
Okay, so
is that you can add, subtract, whatever you want to do. And if you, like in your case, a vegetarian,
yeah.
just have the meat on the side or on the top. You can
Okay.
you could take this chicken, grill it like a chicken Caesar salad,
Yes.
and put it across the top of the noodles.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. and it doesn't ever have to touch her pasta.
We'll never touch. And
Yeah.
you know, sometimes people feel kind of awkward when
Yeah.
they're not eating exactly the same thing as everybody else.
Yeah.
But they probably wouldn't notice something like that.
Yeah.
And so you don't have to go through all the explanation of why someone's having something different.
And that's nice in a dinner party.
Yes.
Yeah. And you may be having a dinner party where the people let you know ahead of time that one of them is a vegetarian, and that's a nice way to handle
That's
that.
right. That's right.
So this would be a
In
good
fact,
dish
you can
for
even
that.
make that, you know, it makes the people feel so much more welcome
Yeah.
if you make that as a question.
Yeah.
Are you allergic or to anything, so that I
Yeah.
can make sure my dish is, you know, proper.
Yeah, yeah.
Now we've got it pretty much cooked the way we want it,
Okay.
so we can add the final ingredients,
All right.
which is the pasta.
Okay. Add your pasta. Okay.
I might have had a little bigger pan, might have been a little easier.
Well, that's all right.
Yeah, and then
That's going to be enough for me.
and the pesto. Yeah, I hope you like it that much. Now the pesto is you can put in as little or as much as you want. Yeah, if you want to stir that
Yeah,
up a little
I
bit.
will. I will.
I love pesto,
Yeah.
and so I put a lot in. I want to taste it
Yeah.
because that's all. 90% of the taste is right there. The pepperoni helps,
Yeah.
but there's not much flavor in noodles and chicken.
And look at the color in this dish.
No, it's very pretty.
This
It
is
really, yeah, it really is nice.
Can you smell that? It's just wonderful. I smell all these different flavors. So, I don't know. Maybe I should taste this.
Yeah, okay, yeah, grab a spoon.
Okay. All right. Because
Yeah,
you never
let's do
know.
that,
You got to
yeah.
make sure. I wouldn't want you to have the dish and it doesn't taste right.
Yeah, and I'd rather it be you than me.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and not only that, but I'm going to try to get just a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Not only that, but you know, a good cook always tastes because,
Oh, yeah. Even though I've got a pretty good idea exactly what it should taste like, you always should taste.
well, and you can smell, you know, but you don't. Your smell doesn't get everything, huh?
Right. Slide over here a little bit. Mm-hmm. Does it taste Italian?
Now that's Italian.
Okay.
But you know what? It's not just the flavor; it's the textures. This is packed with flavor, but the textures are just. This is perfect. This is really, really perfect.
Nice fresh Parmesan cheese.
Maybe just a. Here's the artist coming out
Yeah, and
again.
that's a little bit of nature.
Yeah, yeah.
And this again, this is fresh basil, and you can smell it. It just smells like just getting it near the heat provides a wonderful, wonderful smell. So when you bring that in, the smell hits them before they see it.
Yes.
And then they see it, and then they want it even more. So
Well, you know, Mike, I want to thank you for sharing your expertise with us. It's always a pleasure because you're just a wealth of knowledge for
well,
us.
it's fun being here. It really is, especially a dish like this. Again, it's fun.
Yeah. Well, and so today we've learned about al dente pasta. You've shown us how to make a pesto. We've learned how to bring all the ingredients together, different ingredients, to the proper doneness. And we also learned the culinary term julienne. And so I want to thank you all for joining us because, you know, when you learn from Memorial Cooking Innovations, you're helping us to change the world one bite at a time. Okay, now Mike, I wonder if maybe I should just have one more taste of this because we want
please
to
do.
we want to
Please
make
do.
sure this is really good because, you know, you never can be too careful. Memorial Cooking Innovations is made possible through the generous efforts of CHI St. Luke's Memorial, the Polk Education Center, Sodexo Food Service, and the City of Lufkin, KLTX Channel 15.